So thank you for letting me share my story today, and thank you for making time for me at the end of this very busy um, set of presentations. Okay, so my name is Veronica Ciandre, and I was diagnosed electrohypersensitive in 2011, and in brackets beside electrohypersensitive severe. When I speak, I'm going to be sharing my story, give you sort of an experience of what it feels like, just sort of going down the path of becoming elective. But I know that when I share my story, it is not just my story. It's I share this story with thousands of people. So here I go. So when massive trucks pulled up directly below my 8th top floor apartment balcony and started unloading equipment onto the roof just 6 feet above my head, the superintendent told me they were installing something called cell towers to give people better cell reception and that I had no reason to worry. And I believed them. I believed him. And a week later, when I noticed an antenna at the edge of the roof balcony, at the edge of the roof directly above my balcony, so close that I could touch it with a broomstick, I asked the installation supervisor if it was safe, and he told me it was perfectly safe and I had no reason to worry, and I believed him. And if back in 2009, I had also read Safety Code 6, where at that point it may have said, and I quote, "At present, there is no scientific basis for the premise of chronic and or cumulative health risks from RF energy at levels below the limits outlined in Safety Code 6. I would have believed them also. But my experience tells me something different. What I'm about to read was written 3 or 4 months into my experience, and so it is past tense, but it's the best way I have of telling my story. If you had told me 3 months ago not to hold a cell phone to my head or body, and that if I did, to at least have the battery pack facing outwards, I would have listened, but I wouldn't have changed a thing. If you told me to exchange my cordless phones for good old-fashioned corded phones, I would have listened, wouldn't have changed a thing. I liked my cordless phones. If you told me 3 months ago to use an Ethernet cable with my laptop and keep airport mode turned on, or to move the Wi-Fi antenna from my bedroom and to turn it off when not in use, or to get rid of Wi-Fi altogether, I would have listened and wondered, who has time to do all of that? If you told me 3 months ago that baby monitors should not be placed near babies, or to ask my 14-year-old daughter to talk more than text, and not to sleep with her phone or computer on the pillow beside her, I would have listened, but still I might not have changed a thing. If you told me 3 months ago that microwave radiation emitted by cell towers, cordless phones, Wi-Fi antennas, cell towers, masts, and other wireless technology was an invisible culprit causing thousands of people to experience all manner of symptoms, from insomnia to heart palpitations, and should be avoided completely, or at least whenever possible, I would have listened, but still I might not have changed a thing. After all, the government continues to approve this technology, and the mass media tells us that these devices are safe. But before 3 months ago, I had not spent more than a month living 3 feet under, as well as in front of 6 feet under, as well as in front of cell antennas that were placed on my balcony. Before 3 months ago, I was healthy, vital, and slept like a baby. I didn't wake up with numb hands and feet, my body feeling increasingly numb and tingling or vibrating almost all day. I didn't spend night after night in a hyperactive state, as though electricity was running through me, along with painful electric shocks. Before 3 months ago, I lived in a home that I loved. It was my sanctuary. I didn't have a hissing, buzzing, or high-pitched ringing in my ear, known as tinnitus or microwave hearing, mostly when in that home. I didn't get tension headaches ever, or feel like there was an invisible band around my head creating pressure, mostly, again, when in that home. I didn't feel bouts of nausea on a regular basis, sometimes accompanied by a metallic taste in my mouth, and I didn't get dizzy spells. I wasn't afraid I might have a heart attack as I slept on a makeshift floor mattress in my living room and felt my heart race all night. I wasn't without focus and direction and unable to concentrate. Before 3 months ago, my daughter didn't have more than one unexplainable rash that hurt in the skin, as she described it. She didn't have tension headaches or feel nausea and dizzy in our home. She never had sleepless nights. Before 3 months ago, I hadn't abandoned my home at the advice of someone who could have sold me thousands of dollars worth of products and equipment by convincing me that it would alleviate the situation or protect me. I'd never couch surfed with my 14-year-old in tow while trying to maintain some semblance of a normal life and schedule for her. Before 3 months ago, I hadn't researched everything I could find to educate myself about the real dangers of exposure to microwave radiation. I wasn't fully aware of cell towers and the visible wireless web that continues to be woven above all of our heads. I couldn't tell the difference between a bell tower, a Rogers a live tower, a wind tower, a Telus tower. I never heard of Industry Canada, Spectrum Canada, Safety Code 6, or a Bio-Initiative report. I hadn't spoken to Health Canada, Industry Canada, Canadian Environmental Legal Association, Environmental Health Clinic, the Environmental Health Association, the Environmental Protection Office, the Toronto Environmental Alliance, Public Health, Canadian Association of Physicians and Environment, my city councillor's office, trying to find any answers as to how safe it was to live in such close proximity to cell towers. One of them have told me it's not safe, but thankfully I have better judgment and a body that keeps telling me the truth. Before 3 months ago, I hadn't spent 15 days getting 2 hours of sleep at night because my body was still vibrating all the time, and the rest of the night in tears while feeling like I was losing my mind from sleep deprivation, combined with the physical stress of feeling fight or flight 24 hours a day. I have a clear and unpleasant physical reaction to my cell phone, the usage of cell phones by people in close proximity to me, the touch of my computer keyboard, or the experience of sitting close to a monitor for too long. I didn't feel my legs tingling and going cold or numb if I spent too much time in the same room as a Wi-Fi router. I didn't feel nauseous and have sharp pains going to my hand and at my arm if I held a cordless phone or cell phone while it was in use. I didn't feel nauseous if I sat for too long or too close to a television set. For that time, I did. Before 3 months ago, I couldn't tell you when I was standing within 2 to 4 blocks of a cell tower installation. I never thought twice about leaning on walls or in close proximity to the electrical wiring in a building, or lying on the floor above a basement for the same reasons. I never had to consider the effects of my neighbor's Wi-Fi antennas and cordless phone base stations broadcasting through any wall that stood between us. Almost done. Before 3 months ago, I hadn't heard the words electrosensitive or electrohypersensitive. I hadn't spent hours and hours on the phone trying to find a good doctor, preferably one who knew what a cell tower was and the possible effects of living 6 feet under or in front of one. Unfortunately for me, the ones who did and offered the kinds of analysis or treatment I needed cost an arm and a leg or a plane ticket to spare at the time. Before 3 months ago, I hadn't slept in 6 locations or over a period of 9 days in the middle of a 3-week period while trying to find a place where I could get a good night's sleep, because even after friends pulled the plug on the Wi-Fi, cordless phones, and everything but the fridge, my body was reacting to the wireless technology from the neighbors emitting through the walls to where I slept. Before 3 months ago, I hadn't read stories from hundreds of people around the world whose lives have been profoundly impacted by something we can't see or hear for the most part, but can most definitely feel, by microwave radiation emitting at levels not meant for human absorption, by something we are led to believe is harmless and benefits us in more ways than it bombards us, in favor of convenience and someone's bottom line over our continued health and longevity. 3 months ago, my life got turned upside down due to microwave radiation while living 6 feet under and in front of 10 cell towers. And when challenged by having to find a new home, I was challenged by having to consider my recently acquired sensitivities more than location, size, or cost. There is no doubt in my mind or my body as to when and where this all began. There is no doubt in me at all that human beings are affected on a biological level by exposure to microwave radiation, well below the levels considered safe by Health Canada's Safety Code 6. Thankfully, over time, for some of us, this can be reversed. I'm one of the lucky ones. A lot can happen in 3 months, and like anyone else, I don't like being blindsided. I share this with you not because I expect you to listen, but I do hope that you pay attention. Pay attention to the choices that are yours to make, and for some of us, we get to pay attention to those that are made for us. Because you are making choices that will affect millions of people who don't have one. My story here, I still would have had no choice as to whether or not I wanted to live in a neighborhood rife with cell towers, or should I say live and sleep 6 feet under and in front of 10 of them. Please pay attention now before we all have to pay dearly. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Any comments or questions? Anything from the floor? Well, is this on, Andrew? Okay. Well, thank everybody for attending today. I can assure you all the comments, it is being recorded, and all the comments that have been made will be duly noted and discussed in the. I thank all of you who have given material in, especially the references and the material from the school that Mr. Palmer has given. Thank you all for that. They'll all be considered as part of the panel report. And just to remind you, the panel will meet tomorrow for a second face-to-face meeting. And then we'll go away and deliberate by somewhere in February, around February. A draft report will be written and submitted to peer review. We have asked the public through C4ST and others to give us the names of potential peer reviewers that they would suggest, and we would welcome your suggestions in that regard. A peer review monitor, totally dissociated from this panel, usually a fellow of the Royal Society, will be chosen as a monitor of those reviews. The reviews will come in to the panel chair, will transmit them to the panel. They will treat them accordingly. They will amend the report as they see fit according to the comments. And then that final report will be sent back to the peer review monitor, who will ensure that all input has been attended to by the panel. And when he is satisfied with that, he or she, then the report will be submitted by the end. And it will appear on the website of the Royal Society, I think on March the 31st. And the procedure at the Royal Society with these is that we don't submit the report to the sponsor before, other than the day of the report release. That's it. So those are the procedures. So the report will be available by the end.